go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of ASCII Anything presented by Moser Consulting. I'm your host, Angel Leon, Moser's Director of Personnel. We're glad that you're with us for this episode of ASCII Anything because today we're having a panel discussion on Data Management as a Service, or DMaaS. A lot of jokes could be made with that title, but we're going to go ahead and start because joining me today to discuss DMaaS are Moser's very own Brett Canova, Tony Wilhelm, and Brian Woolwine. In this episode, we're going to discover how DMaaS is transforming the way businesses handle their data, ensuring scalability, security, and efficiency. But before we get to that, let's welcome our guests, Brett Canova, Tony Wilhelm, and Brian Woolwine. Gentlemen, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Brian. How are you?
Feeling good. Just got back from lunch, fully fueled, ready to go.
So let's go ahead and start. What inspired you to specialize in data management as a service?
I mean, I've been in IT for 20 some years and started off doing development work and really found out that the heart of all that is data, right? At the end of the day, it's data, 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 data. Nothing happens without it. All the breaches you see out there, it's data that's getting breached out. Obviously, that's not a good thing, but we got to control the data. That's what we do is we make sure that the data is controlled and is protected. We're all really passionate about controlling data and how everybody has access to it and keeping everything up and running.
Yeah, and for me, kind of the same thing. Just got into it through some friends who got me into working with data and IT and SQL Server, and just kind of grew from there when I realized just how important it is, how everybody needs it. Everything from my web pages I want to get on to making sure I get paid. Yeah, HR is going to have their data, and if HR doesn't have their data, nobody's getting paid. So no, it's everything like that. It's just when you're not into it a whole lot, you don't realize just how big it is, and then all of a sudden you realize that wow, this is what runs the world. So we need it.
Yeah, I would say along the same lines. I originally, when I went to IU, I started as a marketing major. Growing up, there's always been a computer in my house. My stepdad, he was in tech at Raytheon for a long time. And so always been around computers. I started as a marketing major, didn't really fit for me. Took a couple informatics courses and everything kind of just, meshed from there. As you took those courses, it was very data centric. And you started to realize that, data is almost a new sense of currency, that you can look at it that way. So it's really cool to just have the opportunity to, have this job and work with that data and help folks day to day, keep it safe and keep it flowing in and out the way that it needs to.
Nice. That was a good call. Marketing people are weird.
It was just not for me.
says the marketing guy. Exhibit A.
It's easy enough when you see it in yourself though, so it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that's step number one of the five-step program.
Admitting it is the first one. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: for those of us who are not technical, when you guys talk about data, what are you actually referring to? Because data can be one of many things to a lot of people, right?
So the answer really is yes, everything, right? I mean, at the end of the day, like Brett said, HR, right? All of the HR data, your personal data in HR, your bank account information, everything, every transaction that you make at your bank, that's data that's stored somewhere. Gone are the days where it's stored on paper and the bank has to, someone's sitting there in the back room with a little green visor on with an adding machine going through all that stuff. It's all computerized. It's all data now.
When he went 1930s on us.
Yeah. So, everything on Amazon. You go and look at Amazon. There's data behind all of that. How does it know what's what? It's all stored in databases somewhere. And whether that's in SQL Server, Oracle, Postgres, Mongo, any of the NoSQL databases, it's all some sort of database that drives all of the web pages. In pretty much any web page anymore, unless it's just a regular, just static page that never changes, all that's in a database somewhere.
And like Tony was saying, Amazon's a great example because it's the item you ordered, but then the data, it drives an email that lets you know you ordered it. So it has your shipping information, all that. And then you get updates. And, years ago, you'd order something and then it would show up several days later. And now I pretty much get a notification that the guy's walking up my driveway, getting ready to deliver it at the
Right.
front door, and then when he does, my Ring doorbell tells me he's there. So now I've got data at my Ring doorbell telling me that somebody made a delivery. In case I miss it, I've even got video of it. But then also the next time I log into Amazon, it shows me what I just purchased, and based on that purchase, it shows me what I might want to buy next. So it's driving everything, the algorithms that are around it, which I know nothing about. But all that data puts together what we might want to buy next if we're at the grocery store, or if we're back at Amazon or wherever, and sooner or later we're getting emails based on things we purchased and things we might want to buy. But it's all data driven. Somewhere that data is linked to my account and it's stored somewhere, and somebody or something is querying that and kicking out information based on it. And some of it's really cool info, like it's being delivered in the next 5 minutes. And some of it, is telling me what I should buy next, even though I don't need that.
Yeah.
So
That's the part of that data that I don't like. But yeah, go ahead,
Yeah.
Brian.
I was just going to say, to that point, it's just so integrated in our everyday lives that most of the time, if you're not folks like us, you don't really even think about just how much data you're interacting with from a day-to-day perspective, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. Like we've all got our phones. They're attached to everybody nowadays. You don't walk around and see many people without smartphones nowadays. And any interaction you have with that on a day-to-day level from hour to hour, there's data involved with that. It's going in and out of somewhere. Someone has to manage it. Someone has to be in charge of getting it to you and storing it somewhere and making sure that it's safe and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of mind-boggling when you start to kind of think about just the interactions that you have, that they've become granted almost. There's folks behind the scenes working through that and keeping it stored and doing the things they do with it.
It doesn't even stop necessarily now. When you go to bed, the activity tracker that I have, it tracks my sleep schedule as well, and the stress
Exactly.
levels.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's monitoring, deep sleep versus REM versus light sleep and quality rest, and it's collecting all of that data even when I'm asleep now.
Yep. Data's there even when you're unconscious. So
All right. So can you explain the key benefits of DMaaS for businesses of different sizes?
One of the things that we like to do is we try to get our clients moved over from new data management service clients, get them moved over from being from a reactive standpoint to a proactive standpoint, so that we can catch stuff before it becomes a problem. No one wants a 3 a.m. phone call. I don't want to get woken up 3 a.m. because something's gone down. So we try to avoid that by getting them to where they are now proactive. We're watching the servers, we're watching the databases, checking for growth, and trying to head off issues before they become a problem. And, data management services is great with us because, we'll do that. We'll have a team of DBAs, right here, you're looking at 3 of us. The 3 of us are able to work with given clients instead of them hiring one person on staff. So now they have the experience that I have, the experience that Brett has, and the experience that Brian has. Well, we all came from different worlds, and it's the accumulation of that experience that just makes a huge difference in everything.
To Tony's point, that's our aim, is to just help folks at these companies have a little bit more peace of mind, that they don't get the 3 a.m. phone calls, that they do have a team of folks that are backing them, that have the knowledge and the know-how to handle their databases in the proper way, to help them through the bumps that they wouldn't otherwise know what to do with, and to even kind of, for certain companies, stave off not having to have that staff member, that DBA on staff. They can rely on us kind of to fill in that role. And it's not like to Tony's point, you're not just getting one, you're getting a 3-for-1 deal there, which is pretty nice. At the end of the day, just being helpful to them is, kind of what gives us all joy. We're passionate about the data, but we're also passionate about the people that we work with. If I can make anybody else's day easier, that's great. And I'm going to try to do it. So I think that's kind of the 2-pronged approach that we use is, we care about your data and we care about your day. We care about you.
Also, too, the smoother things go, the better off we are for everybody. I mean, that's again, because it's their end users too, trying to get to their data. Again, people want to get paid. People want to put Amazon orders in. People want to see their simple things, like people just want to see their data. If there's their data comes from their electric bill or whatever else, it's all driven. And some of it may seem menial to others in comparisons, but the data is is just huge, as far as it can be related to somebody in a hospital, or it could be something as simple as a package that I don't necessarily need getting delivered from Amazon. We do our best to treat all of it the same, just because we know it is critical to somebody somewhere. It's their job. Just like we enjoy being employed, we want to make sure that somebody else's day of being employed is just as good and as easy.
So let's talk a little bit about data security. So how does DMaaS enhance data security compared to traditional data management methods?
It comes back to the team. All three of us, again, we're bringing different experiences to it. And not just the three of us having different experiences. We see different things at different clients as well. So, if you have a single DBA on staff, that's his laser focus. That's all he knows. He or she doesn't know about an issue somewhere else, good or bad, but may not know of another way to fix something that's happening. Someone else has already figured out, whereas we've got the experience between the three of us that, I'm not saying that there's by no means that we've seen everything, because there's always something new out there. Brian likes to say every day is a school day, and it's true. It seems like we're always learning something new every day, and it's whether we're learning it on our own or we're learning it from each other, it makes a huge difference. And it's back to, having a team makes a big difference versus a single person.
I would attest to that. I think it's just, like Tony said, it goes back to, we all have different knowledge sets, and we rely on each other in certain aspects of the day to, say, hey, I'm not quite 100% on this. I'm 80, 90% on kind of knowing everything that needs to be handled about this problem. But, then Tony and Brett have miles more experience than I do in different aspects of things. So, it's one of those things where there's give and take between our team to just at the end of the day, make sure that things are secure, make sure that tasks are getting done, make sure that things are getting accomplished in the best practiced manner that, that we would want for the client, to make sure that they're feeling safe and sound and taken care of.
And what those guys are saying is that's pretty much the way we feel. I mean, our clients are important to us, and being a part of this team makes it easy. We all work together hand in hand. We make sure that if I lack something that Brian has, he's significantly younger than me, but I don't mind. I mean, it's one of those things like that. I think it's the coolest part about being who we are, is that we do all bring certain strengths. I don't know that any of us have a weakness. I wouldn't describe it that way, but we do know we are able to do certain things better. Some of us are able to do things better. I go to Tony quite a bit. I know Brian does too, but I also go to Brian, and we just want to make sure what we do for the client is best. So it's one of those things where if we don't know that this is exactly the best, we reach out, just because it's better to get it right than it is to say, hey, I did it.
One of my goals is to make sure that, we keep our clients off the front page of the newspaper.
That's important. Yeah.
I mean, no one wants to be there, and you don't want to be there. You don't want to be the cause of it, definitely, and do everything that you can to prevent that. And that's, one of the things that we do is we try to make sure that we're doing our best to provide the best service to our clients, so that they don't end up on the front page of the newspaper for a bad reason. Obviously, hey, good reasons to be there, but no one wants to be there for a bad reason.
Right. We want to make sure it's all good on the front page there.
Exactly. Yes. So let's talk about that transition period then of going into a DMaaS. What are some of those challenges that company might face while transitioning into DMaaS, and how could they overcome them?
What I usually see is one of the biggest hurdles that we have is, a company bringing us in as a team. They're going to need in order for us to be able to do what we need to do, we're going to be needing, extremely elevated credentials. It's completely understandable for people to be gun shy about that. I mean, it's tough. I mean, you're literally giving people, regardless of pedigree and all that kind of stuff, people coming in off the street, and you're giving them keys to the kingdom. We do work with, transportation, healthcare, financial, all that stuff. And for me, it was impressed on me, and I've said this in a lot of places. Early on in my education, I had one of my instructors, and she really basically told us, is like, hey, you guys are going into IT, you're going to be given the keys to the kingdom, and you have to be beyond reproach. You can't do what you see out there. People putting, time bombs in their code or whatever, so that, they've got to click something every week or every month, or stuff goes boom, and So, and then they get fired and whatever, and nothing happens, and, oh, they don't want to give out passwords or any of that kind of stuff, and it just ain't there, right? I mean, no, it's not my data. If they're not my passwords, someone asks for it, obviously, if someone asks for it, they need to be vetted out that they're gonna, that they truly need it. Obviously, if someone asks for a password and they're not the right person to get it, we're not gonna give it to them. But, when the IT manager or IT director or CIO, CTO, or whatever at the company goes, hey, I need this password. Okay, we're not gonna say, oh, no, we're not gonna give it to you. That's not what it is. We're not gonna hoard our code or any of that kind of stuff to not provide that back out. At the end of the day, it's their server, their information, but they have to be willing to give that to us. And that's where it takes a while to build that trust up. And that's probably the biggest hurdle, is getting that trust built.
Yeah, it's their world, and they have to become accustomed to us living in it if they want us to be able to give our full attention and our full gamut of services to them. As you have to build that trust. They have to be willing to accept that, like Tony said, we're gonna have some elevated credentials, but the main thing is we're there and we're asking for those so we can help you. We can hit the ground running as quickly as possible and get off to a good start of showing you the things that we can do with said credentials that help your business. So I think that's one of the bigger things in that transition, is kind of like Tony said, allowing us those keys to the castle, if you will.
And some of it too, honestly, is I would say a big piece of it is so out of the norm for a lot of IT folks, and that it's about communication. It's about emailing, but it's also about phone calls and doing Zoom meetings or Teams meetings. And it's a lot of the stuff that people want to avoid. Hey, we need you to do this, go do it. It's best if we, especially in the beginning, if we can meet. The more often we can meet, the more often we just get to know each other. We get to know each other's personalities. We get to know the way each other tick a little bit better. But they also begin to understand that we may not know their data, but we value it just as much as they do. We want to keep it safe and protected, but also, again, make it available so that when somebody runs a report, it's there and ready to go. But also, just getting to know each other and working with each other to make sure that we're on the same page as them. We know that they want this report to run, or they want these backups, or whatever it may be. And so not only do we go in and set it up to make it work, but we explain what we did, how we did it. And we slowly, with time, they begin to understand that we're doing it the right way, not just a Band-Aid to fix it. We're actually truly fixing something if it's an issue, making it better if it was something that can be improved, and just becoming to a place where we are one team. We may be an outside consultant, but we're one with them, trying to make, get that whole team going. But that takes a little bit of time. and sometimes, like I said, that communication isn't the normal thing. Everybody's busy, so making time for it's tough enough. So, just trying to get those things going.
I think that's an important point. Just like your reputation can open a door for you and get you in a room or get you in those initial meetings. Your reputation's only going to carry you so far. You have to, once that level of trust has been extended to us, it's a daily task to continue earning, keeping, and building even higher levels of trust every day. And that can be absolutely ruined in just a second. So like it's years to build that reputation, then it's a daily task and responsibility to maintain it and further it. And we're going on 30 years of doing exactly that.
And it's a daily task of just making sure we're doing everything we can to be the best we can be. It's never going to be perfect. If you work for a company over the course of 1 year, 5 year, 10 years, whatever, right, there's going to be some bumps. Something's just happened that nobody foresaw. And it's just a matter of saying, hey, yeah, you're right. We're going to document it. We're going to get it out there that this happened. We're going to make sure it doesn't happen again. We're going to learn from it. Owning it, right? Just owning it that maybe it wasn't anyone's fault. Maybe it should have been caught. Maybe no one was going to catch it, but it's just making sure that, hey, we're going to do everything we can to prevent it, to make sure it doesn't happen next time. And just doing that kind of work daily is what makes it go the best.
Yeah, I think that's another, to your point, Brett, I think another hurdle or challenge we often see when we're moving folks into our purview and we start working with them. Some of the issues that arise are just things that aren't known, whether it be that we don't know them because we're just coming in now, as a fresh set of eyes on the entirety of what you have going on. But I don't know if it's often, but it does happen often enough where there are certain processes or even certain SQL servers that the the client themselves, they didn't even really know that they had. And we run into that frequently enough, which it's like I wouldn't have been able to solve a problem that you didn't even know could have arisen. So getting us as much information you can up front about your, let's say, real estate in terms of SQL servers, because that's what we us three specialize in. As much real estate kind of listing of what you have and the process that you have, that can be a challenge in itself. And I think a good testament to our team is as we learn new things about their environment, as well as the client learning new things about their environment, we do a good job of trying to document those things, or at least help them document. That way, if we do run into a bump that we never would have foreseen, and maybe they never would have foreseen, we have at least a little bit of an idea of where to go, where to start if anything arises from that unknown SQL server that they may have had sitting around, hasn't been dusted off in a while. It's holding something up. It's probably, sometimes it's even really important. We don't really touch that because if you mess with that, things could go sideways. So that's another challenge, is just kind of the things that we don't know, and then sometimes the things that the new client doesn't know, and no fault to their own. It's just, that's kind of doing business. Sometimes things just get overlooked because, like I said, it's stood up and it's standing there and it's been running for a while. Let's not rock the boat, so to speak.
We only think about that when we have to. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? Today's the day.
That's
we have
right.
to.
Yep.
Thank you for listening in to this week's edition of Ask Anything presented by Moser Consulting. We hope you enjoyed listening to our panel discuss data management as a service. Join us next time as we continue to dive deeper with our resident experts and what they're currently working on. Remember to send us your ideas or topics via social media. In the meantime, please remember to give us a rating and subscribe to our feed wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, so long, everybody.